Hey, welcome back to Fish on Northwest. We're here in the Bait Lab. I want to remind everybody, Bait Lab presentations brought to you by Max Lure and of course Sportco. And pretty much everything you see on the table here can be found at Sportco or Outdoor Emporium. So talking about coon shrimp and summer steelhead, something that I am very passionate about. Of course, these coon shrimp work very well for sockeye later this season. We'll be using them for that. We have caught coho and chinook and chum and pretty much everything that eats shrimp on coon shrimp that are well cured and well preserved so they fish well. One thing that has to happen with your coon shrimp is all about presentation. How do we get these baits in front of those fish to get them enticed enough to want to strike? And let me tell you, if you've never been at the receiving end of a fishing rod when a summer steelhead takes down your coon shrimp, you have been missing out. So first of all, let's talk about the rod in presentation. These are actually some of the new edge rod kokanee rods, but this is a fantastic summer run plug rod and or what I'll use for coon shrimp. It's an 8-foot one piece, 6 to 15. It's got an extremely sensitive tip. It's ideal for kokanee fishing, also for dropping lead when we're going to be later in the season going after sockeye, but it's going to work fantastic for small presentation out of the drift boat or what have you for summer steelhead as well. So if you're looking for a new style of rod to fish either coon shrimp or present plugs, these kokanee rods by Edge are going to get it done all day long. So really simple system here. I have a top shot on my braided line. I know some of you guys like to fish simply mono on your plug rods and what, or your bait rods, that's fine. I switched to braid years ago and I put about a 30-foot top shot on. You know, a lot of times in summer fishing with low water, that's only out in front of the boat 45, 50 feet. So truly most of the line going into the water is my monofilament. So I'm not worried about having the braid on the spool. That's not a problem for me. Simple snap swivel that I keep my gear on. Now, you know, here's my pre-tied leader, and we're going to get into how we tie these here in a second. I just want to show you how simple this is. This is a medium-sized Brad's bait diver. I use these over the jet divers only because years of doing this, I really prefer the action that the Brad's diver imparts on your presentation more so than the jet diver. Jet diver just kind of sits there and slowly meanders back and forth, and also when it gets hung up, it's not always a instant indicator that it is hung up as you move downriver. When these brads get hung up, they stop wiggling. When the rod tip stops wiggling, you can truly see that there's something going on. There's a change in the cadence of the tip of the rod. Probably better check that rod because something's different. So I'll use the Brad standard size. They have the Magnum side. They got the Mud Dog. If you're in a hole, say on the Couch River or some bigger water, and you know that the hole is 15 to 20 feet deep, you may want to change to the Magnum or the Mud Diver. But these standards will get it done all day long if you're fishing water that is anywhere from 5 to 8, 12 feet deep. These will get it done on your smaller stream. So we're just going to clip that in the top right here. And the other thing I've done now on all my divers is I've changed out the bottom, and all I put on there, I don't need a swivel or anything. I put a dual lock, and that's all that's needed. Every one of my leaders is tied with a bead chain. And this is important. This is a mistake a lot of folks make. We're going to put a bead chain on there because what happens when these divers are working and getting down into the rocks and constantly digging in, this edge starts to get beat up and it actually gets a little bit sharp. If I have a barrel swivel or a swivel with a snap and I put it to the bottom side of this, when I pull this line out here, it's going to come in contact with that bill from time to time. It's going to make a weak spot or actually even cut right through it. With a bead chain on a snap, that can rub there all day long. It's never going to impact your leader material, and it's going to give it swivel ability. That's why I don't need anything but a dual lock on the base of this. So that takes care of all my problems, okay? No issues there of weakening the line. So from there, I like to run about a 5.5 foot leader. Now, there's a lot of different ways you can put your hooks together. I've kind of landed on using a size number 1 and a size number 2. I used to use like, a size 1 and maybe a number 4, but that little stinger hook and a size 4 is just a little bit too small for me in some cases. So I've come back to using a size 1 and a number 2 for the stinger. Now you're going to look on here, and there's a clear straw, and there's a soft bead egg that's pierced onto the line. And this is about as simple a rig as you can have. Bare hooks, a straw, and a little tiny soft bead, egg bead, okay? This is really what I refer to as fishing coon shrimp basically naked. The only thing they're really seeing is a coon shrimp. I don't need any other attractant, flotation, color, anything. Clear water, aggressive fish on the move. This will get it done all day long. It's the scent, it's the color, it's the action of that coon shrimp moving back and forth in the current that entices those steelhead to eat. So, gonna take a coon shrimp. These have been cured up for well over a year in my bait fridge. That's a great size of coon shrimp for steelhead, summer steelhead. I'll fish that all day long. Basically, a good cured shrimp is firm, the helmet's firm, the carapace isn't cracking and coming apart, detaching from the body. So you're just going to straighten that shrimp out, okay? Now, we're going to take the top hook, the number 1, okay? And I'm going to put it in just behind the head, just behind the carapace into the meat of the shrimp. And I'm going to curl that around right out the top as close to center as I can get it. And push it on through till I can get it to lay flat. Now ideally this stinger hook is going to be right about at the top end or the head of where that where it lays next to that shrimp. So I'm going to straighten this tail out, and with this now I only need 1/2 hitch. Now if I'm not putting a straw on there, a lot of guys like to wrap that with 3 or 4 half hitches. And what happens, the more you wrap that tail with a half hitch, that's just another point of where that line can pull tight and cut through the tail, break the tail apart, because you put 2 or 3, 4 half hitches on there. Every one of those is a breaking point. I put 1/2 hitch right behind the eye of the hook, and it's around the thickest part of the tail, and you're gonna pull that snug. Now we're gonna straighten the legs out on that tail and collect them. Now this nice clear little piece of straw on here, we're just gonna kind of work that on there, twist it around until we push it on there straight, pull it snug, and now the little soft bead we just pushed down there, that just helps keep that straw down on the tail. That's all it is. That straw straightens it out. That thing goes out in front of that bait diver. It wiggles back and forth. You got that stinger hook out in front of it. That bait, well cured, without a lot of excess pressure on it, with multiple wraps and whatnot, will fish for quite a long time through an entire run if it doesn't get bit. I like to change them out when I go from run to run. Never run a coon shrimp or a bait like this longer than 5-10 minutes in a run. Put a fresh bait on, because it's just going to make sure that you're fishing quality bait each time you drop it in and take on another run. So that is really a simple rig on how to do that. Nothing extra needed. So what if we have a little bit of water that's off color? What if we have a bump of rain, water comes up, a little bit stained, a little greener, and we need more attractability? I have options. First of all, I can put on a 12 millimeter soft bead over the straw. Now these ones here are rigged with a red straw. Doesn't matter, clear straw, red straw, they all work. It's just a matter of what you can find. The bead down on top of this rig will fish just like the previous one I showed you. This has a little more buoyancy, a little more attractability with that pink pearl. This one here is rigged with a Max 0.08 smile blade, and this is in the purple haze color. Now, anytime you put a spinning lure of some sort, blade or what have you, on top of your coon shrimp tail, you're going to have the straw, you're going to have a couple beads. The beads need to separate your blade away from the tail so that the blade of whatever design is going to spin. If you look on here, I have some with spin glows, I have some with soft beads, I have some with the Max smile blade, and I have some with these actual spinner blades. We use spinner blades in coon shrimp or shrimp lures for spring chinook or salmon fishing in the Columbia River, what have you. So prawn spinners are a go-to, and there's no reason you can't scale it down and make it work for summer steelhead as well. It's really easy to do, and so I already got my basic 2 hooks tied up. It's no different than a mooching rig. You're just putting your 2 hooks about 1 finger width apart, okay? So I got, again, a size 1 and a size 2. I have about a 5.5 foot leader. And to make this spinner rig, it's very simple. I can put the straw on now, or I can put it on after the beads. It doesn't matter because the beads are small and will slide through that. But make sure you put the straw on. And because I'm running a spinner blade, I'm going to put at least 2 beads above the hook. That way when that coon shrimp tail is on there, the beads are going to hit the tail, and it's going to keep the blade away from it. Now I have a multicolor UV blade here and a plastic clevis. I like to use the plastic clevises on these types of rigs because I know those metal ones can at times cut through the leader. So we'll go with the plastic clevis on that, and that just all slides down, and there you go. Okay, I mean that literally right there is a Coon Shrimp rig for Summer Steelhead. Would use that day in and day out. Again, you have your options depending on water clarity and whatnot. Then I'm just going to tie a bead chain swivel on the top of that, and that then again clips to that diver. Try whatever you'd like to use, multiple colors, and how you create these combinations. You can also, if you're curing up your own Coon Shrimp, you can do it in multiple colors. But I can tell you, hands down, year in and year out, when I used to make purple and blue and orange and red and have different scents, vanilla, anise, and the other components I put into my recipe, hands down, keeping logs year after year, this red with the anise scent and the other components I put in that recipe outfishes everything else. So I quit making everything else. I don't use orange, I don't use blue, purple. It's red all the time, no matter the water conditions, no matter the color. That's just what I do. And I found good success and I have confidence in it. So if you're looking for a great recipe on how to cure your own Coon Shrimp, we've done that multiple times here in the Bait Lab. Simply go to our Facebook page or our YouTube channel, or you can Google Duane England at Potskis and Coon Shrimp, and my recipes are going to come up all day long. So, all right, any questions, comments, go ahead and hit us up, Facebook, YouTube. With that, we will jump out for a couple minute break, and we'll be back in studio right after this.